We spend way too little time setting the bar high for good products. And I want to say that because I think a lot of times we think to ourselves, we just need to survive to the next software release. And that is not what this post is about. This post is asking you, this video is challenging you to step back and look at your product problem strategically. I'm going to give you 3 product types. I'm going to ask you which one you're working on. And we're going to talk about the bar for success for each. The first one is the wash the dishes problem. It's a heavy manual process. You are up to your elbows in soap. You're scrubbing the tomato sauce off of the plate. The correct solution, and the correct bar for the solution, is 10x easier. The dishwasher is at least 10x easier than washing the dishes manually. I put the dishes in, I put the soap in, it's done. That is it. That's the whole solution. It's so easy, I forget about it. We do not set that bar high enough in software. I see too many times where there's a heavy frictional process. Maybe it's manual data wrangling of some sort. And people brag about the fact that their solution makes it 20% easier. That is not good enough. It's not. If you are dealing with something that is a wash the dishes problem, where it's a heavy manual piece of work in the workflow, you must make it at least 10 times easier to truly drive adoption. Because there is a ton of switching cost. Because it's expensive to get a new workflow into your head. It is expensive in dollars to pay for the software. It is expensive to train. People factor that in and they will not switch. It is not substantially easier. And I think 10 times easier is a good bar for that. Problem number 2. It's called the new car problem. How do you sell a vehicle to someone who has a vehicle? It's with a product feature that adds functionality that they didn't know they needed till they saw it. Because, to be honest with you, e-commerce, as an example, didn't feel broken until Amazon introduced Prime. When they introduced Prime and it was 2-day shipping, suddenly everybody else felt slow. That's an example of solving a new car kind of problem, where you don't have the problem until you see the solution. It's a really hard one because your customers won't tell you. If you were listening to your customers and you're like, I'm listening to what they say, I'm only building what they say, and you are solving a problem that is basically a new car problem, you're never going to win. You won't get there by listening to your customers. And I know that's weird to say because I love customers. I love chatting with customers. But in this case, if what you are trying to build is something that surprises and delights them with a feature set they didn't know they needed till they saw it, you have to use your imagination. The bar there is something that makes someone who isn't in tech go, oh, wow, that's so cool. I have to try that. And if that's what you're building and you're not delivering that bar, you are not going to succeed. You're going to have a lot of trouble driving adoption because fundamentally that kind of pain point for customers is one they can live with. Everyone feels like they can live with the world that exists until a better one is shown to them. And so if you come back and you're like, you know what, let's play this tape out. Prime is going to be 5-day shipping instead of, no one's really wowed. No one's really excited by that. Even if it's guaranteed 5 instead of 7, it doesn't get close enough to instantaneous that people's imaginations are sparked. And so it took something that was a bold commitment, like 2-day shipping, to actually get people to think differently, to get people's imaginations going, to change the nature of e-commerce. And I think we don't challenge ourselves enough in that regard either. I talked in the first example of how we set the bar too low on dishwasher problems. I think we set the bar too low on these problems around, I call them new car problems. Basically, what is the feature set that makes you want to buy the new car when you have the car anyway? It's something that delights you. It's a surprise and delight problem. And we just think a little bit of delight will go a long way. And the truth is, oftentimes you really have to give someone a wow moment to make this kind of problem solved. Right, that's problem number 2, new car problem, surprise and delight problem, what have you. Number 3 is a platform problem, where fundamentally there is a desire to use a particular tool that exists, but at the end of the day, you don't have the combination of software, hardware, the tool set in place to get what you want done. And what's interesting about that is it's not just for businesses. You might think businesses are the ones that use tools to get jobs done, but consumers do too. My favorite example here is actually the classic example of the iPhone. Consumers had phones before. iPhone was certainly not the first in the market. They weren't the second or the fourth or the fifth. They were very late to market. But what they brought was a platform that let you get stuff done. It was so effective, it spawned multiple billion-dollar companies like Instagram. And that would not have happened if they had not taken the time to build a coherent experience where this felt like a single effective tool to spend your day on. And now we complain about that with our phones. But the point is, people wanted to use their phones to do more than their phones were letting them do before. And they needed a platform that was going to make the phone disappear so they could focus on the task. And that is one of the key success criteria for an effective platform. If you stop talking about it and you just start focusing on the task at hand, that's fantastic. I saw a really interesting take, actually, that the reason we don't dream about our phones is because our phones mentally disappear when we're working on them. And we don't think about the device, we think about the task. And I think that's a wonderful analogy of the importance of building good platforms. So you might not have a new car problem. You might not have a dishwasher problem. Maybe what you have is a platform problem, where what you need is to build something that is a single unified tool set that lets someone get the job done, and it's so effective it just disappears. If that's the case, then coherence is the bar you're looking for. Everything in that experience has to knit and fit together. And if it doesn't, there are going to be janky edges that make it really difficult for people to use that tool to get their work done. And people are going to get frustrated, and that is going to dramatically lower usage. And one of the things platform tools need to succeed is regular usage. iPhone would not have worked if you went there and used your phone in the store and then used it for 30 days afterward and forgot about it. iPhone works as a product because it is woven into your life because it's a successful platform. And that is the marker for successful platforms, is the way you use and reuse them. And if you're solving for that kind of utility, you need to solve for smooth, coherent edges on that experience everywhere you look. Workflows have to be knitted together and end to end every time, because your goal is that no one thinks about the platform. They just think about getting their job done. And again, I see people bragging about additional features they added to a platform, and they don't think about the platform as a whole. And that is one of those strategic errors that means that so many of the platforms we use are too frictional. They're tiring to use. We talk about them because they aren't fun. They're exhausting. Maybe we can get the work done, but it's not any fun to use. We don't recommend it to people. And that slows adoption for the companies that build these kinds of platforms. So if that's you, if you are working on a platform, make sure that you are thinking about the whole experience. It is worth it to think end to end. There is no substitute for that. Okay, so the three things we talked about: the dishwasher problem, you have to set that bar high on automation. The new car problem, you have to make sure you are finding a surprise and delight that genuinely makes people go, wow. And this last one, the platform problem, it's all about coherence. Can the workflows be end-to-end coherent? I hope you enjoyed this. I certainly had fun talking about it. I don't think we talk about product and problem types enough. Let me know if you have other problem types you'd like me to go into. I thought this was a fun introduction, but there's always more to go after. All right, cheers.